Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Before I introduce the officers that have kindly graced us with their presence to come and share some really good and useful information with us around safety, I just want to bring it to our attention. We're going to be having a Q&A after they've done their presentation. So if you can access the app called Sli.do, so that's SLI.do. SLI.do. So if you get that app, the access code is 6706, and I'll repeat it again later on as well, but if you just want to start getting yourself prepared. Oh, sorry, it's not an app, you can Google search it, sorry. So if you just put SLI.do into Google, you should be able to get access through the internet. And the code is 6706. Yeah? Alright, it's a pleasure to introduce the Met Police who are in our presence. I'd like to call forward PC Ewan, PC Lady Moore, PC Powell, and PC Sherry, who are going to be coming to share some vital information and insight. And I pray that we all be blessed and we all be able to take something back from it. Yes.
Hi there, thank you all for having us today. First, it's been a really nice atmosphere, so thank you for having us along. We did have a presentation prepared for you today, but I'm not sure if it's working or not. Let's just wait a second. We're your Queenstown Safe Neighbourhood police officers. There's 4 of us, there's 2 of us here and 2 of us at the back there. What we do is we look after the ward of Queenstown, so that's made up of Battersea Park development, Battersea Park Power Station, and the 9 Elms development, and it runs all the way up here to Patmore. We deal with local neighbourhood issues, antisocial behaviour issues, and we deal with a lot of drug crime as well. And our role is just to help you keep safe in the neighbourhood. Today we're here to talk to you about knife crime and the dangers of knife crime. And have we got a little clicker so we can change the slide? Sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, in the tech department, can we just look forward? If you just put your hand up and they'll change the slide.
Yes, if you just want to change the slide now. If it works. Okay, well, as I'm sure you're aware, there's been a lot of coverage of it in the newspapers. So in 2018, there were 132 murders in London alone, and that figure is the highest it's been for 10 years now. So the murder rate in London has been the highest it's been for 10 years. So it's really important we talk to you and we teach you about the importance of not carrying knives and things like that. And out of the 132 murders, there has been 57% of that were actually involved as the effect of a stabbing. So that's over 80 murders last year were as a result of knife crime. So if you cast your minds back to, I think it was October, November time last year, we had, it was really widely covered in the newspapers that over 6 days across London there was 5 fatal stabbings, and one was quite close to our ward here up in Balham, where a 17-year-old teenage boy was stabbed, and some of our officers here were first on scene to that as well. So we did have a video to show you now about knife crime and just about how people have kind of rehabilitated their life after knife crime, but I'm not sure it's going to work. So what we'll go on to is just open it up and ask you about questions about how do you think knife crime and carrying a knife could affect you. Can we have anyone who's brave enough to answer for us? So how would carrying a knife affect you, first of all, personally? Anyone want to shout anything out? God, there must be something. Yeah? How do you think knife crime would affect you?
Well, I'm going to speak from the perspective of being a mother.
Yeah?
It's extremely distressing because I have school-age children, primary school and secondary school. And with this knife crime and the antisocial behavior and gun crime and everything among the youths, for parents, it's like every day you send your kids off to school or those who are working, it's like your heart is in your mouth until they're back home safe. You can't go to sleep. So for parents, it's very distressing. And there's a video that's been shared in the last 1 week, which we've shared as parents amongst ourselves, about combs being turned into knives. You know, I have it right here on my phone. It's like a beautiful comb that, you know, young boys love to put comb in their hair and grow their hair. And once you slip it open, there's a knife hidden behind it.
Yeah.
I saw it and I couldn't go to sleep because I worry for my kids. So for parents, I speak for them, you know, that it's very distressing, it's very worrying. And the next thing is you think about selling your house and moving out of London. Thank you.
Yeah, we've actually seen that photo ourselves. I think it's like different coloured combs, and it's been shared around Facebook and social media a lot as well. Yeah, so we are aware of that. So that's how knife crime or carrying a knife can affect you. So as a parent, you're saying you're scared and you're fearful for your children. How else do you think it could affect your community, for instance? How could carrying a knife affect community? Anyone else? Go on, be brave. Someone?
Anyone from the youth?
Okay, what about how could carrying a knife affect your school or your education? Anyone know? Go ahead.
I think it's a bit destructive in a way.
Yeah.
Because whilst you're studying for exams, sometimes you're reading the news and then you're seeing that, okay, so-and-so got stabbed in your area. And it's like, okay, I'll go library, and because it's getting dark quickly, when I'm coming back I have to come back from the library earlier. So it means I can't really have time to revise. And plus in school as well, I think it affects everyone in the school as well, because everyone may feel a bit down. It's not working.
He's watching.
It's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, you can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to flick on a few slides for us? Just a couple down, and then we've got some of the answers here. Just a few more, one more, and one more. And the next one. There you go. And we talk a little bit more about here. So you can see here how we've written up just a synopsis of how carrying a knife can affect you. Because if you carry a knife, even if you don't intend to use it, it could be used against you. So it can have injury to others or self-injury to yourself. And obviously we've got the criminal responsibilities, which my colleague Connor here is going to talk a little bit more about carrying a knife. How it affects your family. Obviously, one of the ladies here kind of spoke about that. The effect of fear of losing your loved one, or the lack of trust in any of your family members as well, carrying a knife. And how it affects your school, as well as pressure on your schooling work and all that anxiety it brings about travelling to school. You can face school exclusion from carrying a knife, and friendships as well. That's a big one, that carrying a knife can, you might feel that you have pressure to carry a knife, or distraction in friendships, and loss of trust in friendships. And then how I said earlier, it affects our community by, we might no longer feel safe, as you alluded to there. Can we go on to the next slide, please?
Hello, good afternoon everyone. So the next slide here is regarding what people say is the excuse to carrying a knife. So we've got here image and respect. So a lot of people, they feel that they want to carry a knife, or they're encouraged to carry a knife or any sort of weapon to build up their image or build up their respect in their community or their friend group. Like I said in here, self-defense. People say that they take a knife out because they feel safer. they feel that they're going to protect themselves. But in reality, if you're carrying a knife, you're more likely to be the victim of a stabbing or a knife injury. Just because if you've got a knife on them, you bring that out, and they have a knife on them as well, they're more likely going to take that out as well. So instructed to do so. So unfortunately, we do have gangs around London, or youth groups that encourage each other to carry out knives, carry out attacks with knives, and are told to do so by people that are above them in their community as such, and retaliation. So after someone's friend's been injured or attacked, or friends or family, people like to carry a knife out to get revenge for these people. Obviously, all of these excuses, they're not reasonable, they shouldn't be acted upon, as everyone does know, it does come to some bad endings. Sorry, just go to the next slide, please. So misconceptions as well. We've got some misconceptions about people carrying knives. A lot of people that we do search and they've got a blade on them, they feel that it's fine to have a knife on them because it's under 3 inches as such for the blade itself. Now, even if you do carry a knife on you and the blade is under 3 inches, you still have to have a reasonable excuse to be carrying it. So if you're a worker or you're working in a kitchen, a butcher, or fishing, etc. And age of criminal responsibility. So a lot of teenagers don't believe that they will get in trouble much because they're a teenager. But in regards to the law, as long as you're 10 and above, you're of age for criminal responsibility, you will be tried in a court, and you can go to youth detention or prison. Just some quick law before we go into our safety part regarding knives. So obviously, as a police officer, we do have the responsibility to protect you, protect the community, but you also have the responsibility yourselves. When it comes to us, we do have laws and legislation in place. So we have this Crime Act that does prevent people from carrying a knife, and it can carry a sentence of up to 4 years in prison. Just go through a couple slides, please. So we've got here, so just as we said, we have knives, we also have other weapons as well. So we have what's called intended weapons. So these can be any normal item that's used as a weapon. So that would also be against the law and you can be imprisoned for that. We have other items such as adapted weapons. So a bit like this, the lady said with the comb, the blade inside the comb, that's a normal item that's been adapted to be used as a weapon. And then we've got the intended weapons, so such as normal knives, etc. Could we just go to the slide on how to stay safe, please? Thank you. So we've got a few here on how to stay safe. I'd just like to give a question out. If someone does pull out a knife on you, does anyone know what the best thing to do is? Any hands up at all?
To run.
Exactly, run. There's no point in fighting it, there's no point in doing anything else, trying to intimidate them. You can go to all the martial arts classes you like, but the best option is just to run. I'm sure you've seen quite a few videos on the internet or YouTube explaining the same thing. If someone pulls a weapon out of any sorts, doesn't matter how small they are and how big you are, just run and call the police as soon as you can, and give a good description of where you are and who pulled out the knife, etc. Okay. So like we've got here, so taking well-lit routes and main roads. It's like the young lady said about going to school, walking around college, etc. Unfortunately, a lot of roads within London aren't well lit, and the short path to where you want to go may be quite dark, maybe down an alleyway. Obviously, our recommendation would be to take the longer route that's more lit or on the main road where there's a lot of people. So like I said, avoid shortcuts. Same here, so we've got don't use headphones. So a lot of people are victims of robberies because they're not aware of their surroundings. So people could be walking around with headphones in, looking at their phone, and don't realise that there's a person that's approaching up next to them, coming from a moped off of them. They pull out a weapon and suddenly they're a victim of robbery. If you're aware of your surroundings and you realise that someone is coming to your sort of close proximity, then you're able to react a bit faster. So we've got here evasive walking. So a lot of people if you're walking across the road and you do feel intimidated or worried about someone walking towards you, someone walking behind you, evasive walking is a little tactic where it's just regarding between crossing roads, crossing over, just so you don't leave the same pattern so people can block you off. Travelling in populated areas, like I said, if you travel down a main high street, even if it is a longer route, more people are there, people are less likely to, you're less likely to become a victim. And back to being aware of your surroundings and don't advertise your valuables to criminals. So I like to take this like with robbery, because a lot of the knife crime is involved with robberies. People like to take a knife out to take people's possessions. So if you do have a lot of jewellery on you, necklaces, etc., if you tuck them down your top, it doesn't advertise it to any wannabe criminals that may try and take your items. Just next slide, please.
So here's something we wanted to flag up with you, that it's quite a common myth that if you call 999 and you feel you're in trouble and you can't talk and you're in a situation where you don't want to talk, if you call 999 and you stay silent, some people think that they'll automatically come out and get you and know exactly where you are. But that's not necessarily true, because obviously 999 might get a lot of hoax calls where, you know, it's just silent. Who are they to think, oh, is it real or is it not real? So what these people are encouraged to do is call 999, and if you can't talk, make a little sound or a cough, and the operator will ask you if you're safe and if you can press 555. Or 2 5s, I think, and then they'll know to come out and get you. So that's the key there. That if, just to bust that common myth, that if you do call 999 and stay silent, they're not always guaranteed to come out and get you. You will be prompted to press 55 if you can't talk, and then they'll know it's an emergency.
Just our final slide here. This is something that the Met police also hand out. So we've got knife amnesty bins. So a lot of these are located in our police stations. So your closest one, depending where you live, for this area, it's either going to be Lavender Hill Police Station, or you have got Brixton Police Station, where amnesty bins are provided. So these are people that may be in possession of a knife that's not a normal knife, it's not a kitchen knife, and they want to hand it over as opposed to keeping it. Or any knives that are found out on the street, hidden in bushes. People can place these knives in the amnesty bin. As you can see here, these are some of the items that were found in our bin after we emptied them out. So we do have quite large machetes, hunting knives, as well as your ordinary kitchen knives. As I know, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know, the age to buy a knife is 18. But a lot of people do get hold of these by faking their age, whether it's at the counter or it's over the internet. And I do know that the Home Office are bringing in stronger legislations in regarding to buying knives over the internet. That's to come in place. Now that's the end of our small presentation here. Have we got any questions at all? Anything regarding knives or safety or the piece itself? Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, there's one question. I guess that is relevant to what you were talking about. It says sometimes you come after the victim has died.
Yes, exactly. We do have two parts of the police, really. We have our reactive parts and our proactive officers. So if you call 999 or 101, you get put through to the response team, and they're the reactive side of the police. So they will go to the calls. So they will go to unfortunately, the distressed mother that's just called up saying that her son's just been stabbed, and they will be there. We do have our proactive side, so we do have other units and us ourselves. So we aren't there to attend all the 999 calls. We're out on the street and hoping to prevent it from happening. So we do patrol sort of the high-risk areas, the dark areas, the areas where most of the violence or the large groups of people hang out, to try to deter this. But unfortunately, when it does happen, we will be there after called. Yes, Lady Emma.
My question is this: talking to some youth, you know, they don't like to call the police. Moreover, the black youth, I'm sorry to say, because once they call you guys and you're there and you see their guys, you're less concerned about them. So how can you encourage them and you prove to them that you treat them equally and you still attend to their case as well?
So I do understand that completely. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, that don't have their trust in the police. and police service at all. All I can say, hopefully with sessions like these and other events that we run, that we can build more of a confidence in the communities, especially with the youth around. We do work with youth groups and youth engagement workers to, just like you said, to hopefully get them to put their trust into us, so they can call us. Because obviously it's very important. If someone's in danger of their life and they don't feel they want to trust the police to call the police, they may try to take the action out themselves and get their friends involved, and all that does is cause more problems. So it is a big concern of us and a big priority for us to engage with the community and to engage with youths and youth groups to build that trust up.
We do have schools teams as well, where we go out to primary schools and we do safety talks and talking about who to trust, who you can call in danger, cyber safety talks as well at primary school, and we go to secondary schools and we do talks more there about online safety and coercion and things like that as well. And our schools also sometimes help go on school trips with people, with youth at school as well, and excursions, kind of to really build that relationship that we are approachable people and we are here to help.
Yeah, sorry. Would you say that you are more likely to be in danger if you're out past midnight?
When you look at stats, a lot of robberies and attacks are carried out in the daytime, but regard to safety-wise, yes, obviously past midnight, especially in the winter, past any time when it gets dark really, and midnight, it comes to the point where there aren't many people out in the streets, there aren't many witnesses as such. Maybe some lights are broken, the streets are dark. If you're out on your own past midnight in a quiet area, then you can be more susceptible for being a victim.
Thank you very much. So sorry guys. Thank you very much. Can we just have another round of applause for our wonderful officers? Yeah, it's a big job that they do trying to keep us safe in our communities, and we really appreciate you all. Thank you very much. The next section is the Q&A, and we're going to invite a very special guest up. But just before I introduce that guest up, I just want to make sure you've all signed in to the site where you can post your questions. So if you go to Google or just go into your internet browser and type in sli.do, and the code, it will ask you for a code, and the code is 6706. Okay, so it's with great pleasure that I introduce Dr. Toyin Onibokun.
Hello everybody. Hello everybody. I hope you're enjoying the session today. Would really like to thank the police for the excellent presentation, and this question and answer session is actually for the police again. So can the police please come forward again, and we'll give you even more questions. I do apologise for my delay. I actually had to pick up my car from the service, so many apologies. So in terms of your presentation, I'm not quite sure how much details you went into speaking about what parents can be doing. So maybe you can talk a bit about advice to give to parents, how to look out for their children, what they should be looking for, so parents here can...
Yes, obviously parents play quite a large role in the safety of their children and the safety of their community as well. A lot of parents don't agree with their children when they do get involved with the wrong people, and they do get involved in life crime. And it's going to be the parents that know about it first off. You will recognise differences with your child, how they're acting, who they're hanging out with, what time they're coming back at night, and how they're behaving at school. Obviously their teachers will tell you if their behaviour's changing, who they're hanging out with, if they're getting detention, if they're missing homework. And when this escalates, you may see more of a change in their behaviour. They don't come home, they're not home very often, they won't let you in their room, and this can be because they're hiding stuff in their room. We have come across people very young age that have been in possession of large hunting knives that are laid under their bed or just on the sides. And unfortunately their parents don't know about it because their child keeps them out of their room. They keep a lock on their room when they're not in. So really it's recognising these changing behaviours and keeping you out of their life a bit more than they used to. It may show that they're hiding this other part, this other criminal part that's starting to build. So really, if you recognise any of this, I would urge you to speak to your child and ask what is going on, who they've been hanging out with, talk to their teacher, and if you do feel that any of this is escalating, then obviously engage with youth engagement workers and youth coordinators as they are pretty much the experts when it comes to this.
Thank you.
And when we're in the age these days of technical devices, so we've got so many screens, whether it's our tablets, our phones, iPads, Netflix, and what we really do encourage is just to take some time away from screens as well and talk to each other as a family, because we've noticed, I think there's lots of studies on it at the moment, how parents are talking to their kids less. So what we say is if you're at the dinner table and you've got dinner together, have one night a week where you don't have phones, and it encourages that communication, that conversation, so you'll notice any little behaviours, if anything's up with them and things like that. So we really do encourage to talk to your children.
Another question here is, what help is actually being offered to parents and relatives that have been affected?
So in regards to the council themselves or any private companies, I'm not too sure where all of you live. About the area, the south around here, the Queenstown ward, I am aware of multiple organisations that help parents, that help children. You've got here on the estate itself, you've got FAST, so that's located down here, that's a youth engagement group. So they talk to a lot of troubled children, they take them out on trips, excursions, usually it's all free as well. That's all provided by funding and council work. You've got on the Doddenton estate, you have an organisation called Storm, so they're mainly provided for single parents and children again. So they do provide a lot of this counselling, any sort of, like I said, trips, excursions, anything that will get children out of the house, off the streets, and into sports or any sort of education that they're interested in.
Another question somebody has asked is, why do police stop and search mainly black boys? And when you do answer that, can you also in addition ask if any young black boys stopped and searched there? I understand now that there are things that they're supposed to ask from you guys, that you're supposed to answer them. So, please advise.
So when it comes to our stop and search powers, we have a power of search for weapons under what's called Section 1 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. Now we have to have reasonable excuse, or reasonable belief to search someone under this act. Regarding any sort of theories under mainly young black boys being searched, or in groups, I can't really talk too much about that. I mean, I do understand that a lot of people get searched, they do feel that it is discriminating against them, etc. I personally can't say much about that at all. Regarding people being in groups, what we do act on a lot is intelligence. So a lot of the searches that we do carry out for any sort of weapons really, or theft or drugs, is when someone's come up to us and said that group over there, I saw them what looks to be a knife on them. So if we go over there, say there will be 4 people, we'll search all 4 of them for that knife. Now what it may be in turn, it may be a screwdriver, or it may be a pen, something like that. We've had it multiple times where people have had silver pens on them, and unfortunately a member of the public has seen it shining and thought it was a blade. So regarding to searching, unfortunately we act on intel, all sort of information and intelligence to back up our search powers. I'm sure if you've seen a lot of police officers now what we're wearing here, so we've got our body-worn videos on us, so we record this at all times. So if you do feel that after a search it was wrongfully done, you can call up 101 and report this, and it will obviously be looked into from our body worn videos. During the search, we fill out a small slip, but stop at the search slip. So from this, you are entitled to a copy of it. And during the search, we are supposed to tell you that you're entitled to a copy of it. So we'll explain our grounds for our search and who we are and where we work. So you can get a copy of that straight after the search. You're entitled to a copy of that straight after the search. Or you can pick it up from your local police station or from where the officer is based within 28 days. So you do have access to all that information.
Can you please advise young people what they should do if perhaps they are stopped by the police?
So if it does come to the take results that you are stopped by the police, do not feel intimidated in any way. We are just doing our job. We don't want to intimidate you. We're part of your community. We're just trying here to keep it safe. So please just listen to what we say, listen to our grounds and reasons, and the faster you allow us to do our job, then the faster it'll be over. We'll be happy and smiley with you. If you've got nothing on you, then all well and good. You can get your slip. We can have a laugh with you. All very happy and well and done. When people start being a bit on edge and they don't want to comply with us, they want to start walking away, that sort of raises our suspicions more. And if people don't want to stay and they do try to walk away, then that's when it starts to come into handcuffing, etc. And obviously we don't want to do that, especially if there's no reason to, you don't have anything on you.
Young people do have rights. Can you please advise them of their rights if they're stopped and searched?
So obviously you will have the same rights as everyone else. You will have rights under the Human Rights Act and any sort of ethical rights, etc. So if you do feel that, like I said before, if you've been stopped and said you're going to be detained and searched by a police officer, please just allow them to do their job. After it's done, especially if you haven't got anything on you, then you do have the right to complain and put a complaint in against that officer. After you've received that stop slip, you'll have all his information on there, or her information on there. We have our body-worn videos here as well, and then it will be investigated after that.
Is there anyone here who'd like to add to that? Is there any questions you'd like to add to?
I'd just like to say again, if you do see any of us out on the street, you're more than welcome to come up to us and ask us any questions or anything like that, or talk at all. If you have any problems, you can just speak to us. We're not... Yes, go ahead, sorry, sir.
This is kind of like to the parents. Now, when I was in school and I was going through school, most of like the criminal activity that was going on the offense or maybe on the defense, most of them are actually Christians. And when I was growing up in my school, the bad guys around me, most of them were attending church, going night vigils or and stuff like this. So my plea is kind of to the parents to have a relationship with their children. It's not only about taking them to church, praying that, but actually talking to them. Because if you actually, like when I was in school, like the most people that were doing stuff, like in gangs, they actually go to church. Like, most of them actually go to church. And even what hurt me the most is because one time my head teacher came and said it to me, because I was trying to tell him about Jesus, and he was saying, all the bad people that do mess up in my school, they actually go to church. So it's not just going to church. Preaching them one-to-one, talk to them about God and why they have to live a Christian life rather than just saying, go to church, forcing them. And that's why a lot of children hide stuff from their parents. Because all they hear is that, they don't have that relationship. So my plea is, just talk to your children, have that relationship with them. And all to you, the youth here, your friends is a big thing. Make sure you have Christian friends around you that will keep you on that narrow way. Amen.
So there's one final question. Do you think our government believes in the power of prayer? Do you think our government believes that prayer can help with the current situation? That's a very good question, whoever put that forward. Very good question.
I do believe that us as a whole, as a country as a whole, the community, we do all support and respect all religions, no matter how diverse it is or how small religion is. And anything that people believe will help themselves and help the community. I believe that, all I can say is that I believe that the community will come together and put all resources, put any sort of encourage people to carry out these acts. Obviously you do have a lot of churches, you have a lot of mosques in this area, and they're all fully respected and fully encourage people to go to. We are, as a police service, as a team, I've been to quite a few churches, I've been to quite a few mosques to give talks or just to engage with the community for a small event afterwards.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for the lovely questions, everybody, and thank you very much to the police here.